We in the art world, of course, know Ai Weiwei as an artist. But art can be very oblique, metaphoric, allegorical. It is a way of saying things that can get around and under and beside power and can sometimes slip beside it. What got Ai Weiwei in trouble was not his artwork, but his writings, his words, his blog. Recently, actually, it's sort of ironically, just as after his arrest, this book was published, which is a book of his blog. And I thought that the best thing that we could do, since he can't be here with us tonight, is to hear his words in the blog. And I think that it will help to explain why he's such an extraordinary person and why he has disappeared. So I'm just going to read a few little excerpts. First of all, this is a little excerpt from 2006. One of the things that really galvanized him in his blog, which began kind of more as a kind of artist blog, but eventually became completely political, was, as has been mentioned, the Sichuan earthquake, in which thousands of children, school children, died in their schools because of shoddy construction. So this is what he said just at the time of the earthquake. Spare the homes of the common people. If you can't help them, then leave them some peace. Keep your distance from them. Please do not speak for them. Let them quietly pass away. Continue the corruption of large-scale projects of the banks, the state-owned industries, but don't paint the faces of the common people. And then again, speaking about this, he said, don't be too anxious to boast that disasters strengthen the nation or brag about unprecedented unity. And don't use conceited words to cover up the cold, hard facts. First, pull the dismembered children's limbs from the rubble, wipe them clean, find a quiet place, and bury them deep. So this is the kind of things that he was saying. This is from an interview, also in 2006, in which he said, he was asked about, what is your point of view? And he said, my political standpoint, if I have one, is individualism, anti-power, and anti-value standards that have been formed around profit. Let's see. This is his commentary on, his commentary on democracy. And one of the things that's very poignant about reading his blog is his absolute faith in democracy. I mean, he lived in America for a number of years, and his belief that democracy, you know, was the system that would bring about equality, that it would solve the social problems. You know, it's kind of poignant and touching, I think, for those of us who live in a democracy, which often that doesn't so much seem to be the case. But he said, again, this is from 2008, any government that rejects democratic rights and the will of the people can only be described as criminal. That a government like this can persevere, especially given the speed and structure of overall global development in today's world, is truly cause for endless surprise. And this is something that he said in 2009. He was again sort of thinking about the nature of democracy, and he said, he said this, lines from that document, this was on July 4th, lines from that document penned on July 4th, 1776, can still be used to exorcise demons. One of humanity's universally recognized fundamental values is that viewpoints cannot be glossed over, and that likewise one must not yield his or her principles. The tragic reality of today is reflected in the true plight of our spiritual existence. We are spineless and we cannot stand straight. And then he goes on to quote from the Declaration of Independence. And finally, this is one of the last blogs in the book, but I think one that, at this point, his blog had actually been shut down at this point, and he was having to use other facilities, other decks, in order to get the word out. And in June 2009, he wrote a blog which is titled here, "If you aren't anti-China, are you still human?" And he says, "The party is infinitely testing the people. Your internet is damned. Education is programmed. And you're duped by the papers, poisoned by milk." This is the milk, the scandal in which poisoned milk was created and given to school children who died, babies who died. "And condemned if you're unemployed. Public transport is bombed. You're robbed of your land. Your house is razed. Your children are sold. Minors are crushed. Young women are assaulted. And everything else belongs to security guards, city management, the military police, domestic security, gets stabilized or goes mentally ill. Demand that rapists be apprehended, and they say it's anti-China. Children are crushed by collapsed buildings, but inquire about the quality of the construction, and that's anti-China too. Exposing contaminated food products is anti-China. Civilians who've been beaten and abused attempt to petition the state, and that's also anti-China. Trafficking children, selling HIV-infected blood, operating slave labor coal pits, falsifying news, a judiciary that breaks the law, corruption and greed, infringing on constitutional rights, a green damned internet. Anything that highlights your problems is anti-China. If you aren't anti-China, are we still human?" Thank you.